you, Madam Speaker, and I rise just to share a few words of disagreement about this bill. Others have been far more eloquent and have argued a lot of the very specific points. I have to say that when this bill was tabled, I was actually quite shocked. I was quite shocked based on what I see happening in my riding, what I see happening in other ridings, the conversations I've been having with folks really since I've been elected, with seniors in my riding who find themselves on fixed-term leases and are being presented with impossible choices and having to leave their long-term homes, with seniors calling and saying that not only are they leaving their long-term home and their long-term apartment, but they're headed for the streets. You know, I know this from talking to students who are, regularly asked to sign illegal leases, including fixed-term leases are not illegal, but also having parents as guarantors, international students facing different types of questions, all kinds of, issues in a deeply unstable housing market. And so, I mean, honestly, I think I'm just a hopeful person, which is great. But I really thought that there would be legislation brought forward that actually attempted to fix the situation. And I literally couldn't believe that this is what this government brought forward. I think that some of the changes in terms of the eviction process, I mean, there is no balance. They're all focused on enabling landlords to have greater powers. I immediately received dozens of emails from folks in the constituency, including from Katrina Allen, who then subsequently appeared at Law Amendments, because I said, you should write and share some of your analysis with the committee. You should come present. And I think that she really walked through quite practically the challenges of having that initial 3-day period. So, that having the current 15 days actually protects renters. And 15 days does not seem like a very long time for that process to start, but it protects renters by having multiple pay periods during a 30-day window, ensuring that, unpaid leave off due to illness does not lead to eviction. It allows time if people are in fact laid off, or perhaps they have a seasonal position, a summer job. It allows them time to then look for their next work. And we know that many Nova Scotians live paycheck to paycheck, so these types of protections are really necessary. So, I mean, I'll table what Katarina had brought to Law Amendments, and I think it was really important consideration. And I can't remember if it was her or someone else who also mentioned even things like the federal government's Phoenix Pay catastrophe. So being partnered to a federal public service manager, I can tell you that situation actually was quite unreal, and people were without proper pay for months and months and months, and so we're remortgaging homes, borrowing money from wherever they could to stay in their homes, and again, if you were a renter who is a federal government employee, so should have a stable work environment, you would have been really struggling in that case. And then I also just want to talk about this 5% cap. So first of all, it's a cap. It's not a system of supportive rent control like we have called for time and time again. And 5% is not tied to inflation. It's unfounded. I don't understand why there isn't a formula behind the 5%. I just can't quite believe that there isn't a formula behind the 5%, but since one has not been provided, then I guess that's the case. And I wanted to just read a little from the emails that I have received, and I can table them, about what 5% means. So I'll quote from this one email. Anyone who thinks 5% a year for the next 4 years is a cap that's worth anything at all, they're crazy. That will put my rent up $400. My disability pension is not going to go up $400 a month, and I'm going to be homeless. I don't know what world the government is living in thinking people can afford 5% a year for 4 years. They're not helping us, they're hurting us. And let me read another excerpt. I also wanted to add from my personal perspective. I never expected as a citizen of this great country of Canada that I would have to choose between rent, medicine, and groceries like so many of my American friends. Yet here I am for the first time in my life deciding what to cut from my grocery list, so I have enough money to afford all my diabetes and blood pressure medication. I have no disposable income whatsoever to afford any mobility devices, and as a result, I don't leave my home. My partner, another excerpt, my partner and I have been living in this apartment for 4 years. The rent has risen from $1,600 to $1,900 a month, an 18.5% increase, without a single renovation. In those apartments of this building that have been vacated, the rents have risen from $1,600 to $2,600 a month, a 62.5% increase. So the rents rise and rise, but my pension doesn't. Oh, and the house that we were renting in 2020 for $800 a month is now renting for $2,500 a month, a 212% increase in the same time. And here somebody walks through their very specific situation. I am writing to express my concern about the 5% rent cap declared by the Nova Scotia government this week. Here is what a 5% increase over a period of 7 years actually means to someone like me. My rent has crept up to $2,213 a month over the last years. 5% is $116 a month in the first year, this year, which is an increase of $1,394 annually. 5% in the second year is an increase of $122 a month, or $1,463 annually, and so on for 5 more years. 5% in rent cap will mean an increase of $945.95 a month over 7 years for me. 5% rent cap means that in 7 years, I will be paying my landlord $11,350 more a year than I pay this year. I am a senior who lives mostly on a fixed, non-indexed pension income. 5% is much too high, even for retired teachers. So, as I said at the beginning, I was shocked, flabbergasted, I would say, that this is the response that was tabled to the growing housing crisis in Nova Scotia. It is deeply out of touch with the lived realities of Nova Scotians, and I know that it will have detrimental effects on folks in my riding. Thank you.